arm. And I'm going to come over this side because it's just easier to access this aspect of the arm. And again, I'm in a kind of a low lunge. I'll press the top of her palm and start to rock side to side here. And the heel of my hand is doing a little more of the pressure now. I'm going side to side, and I'm also squeezing a little with my fingers because it tends to feel good. And I might incorporate my thumb with a little squeeze along the outside arm line here, just starting to come up into the deltoid attachment there. Yeah. And then you could go with yang down. It's more of a leaning forward rather than a side to side. So the yang pressure comes from rocking forward and back. The yin pressure comes from rocking side to side. And again, you could go up again in yin, and then brush stroke down. And then just turning the palm and giving sometimes a little wobble. Good. All righty. Yeah. And then we would repeat that on the left side. So, repeat that on the left side. I'm going to start, left foot comes into her armpit. I hand shake with my left hand, right hand holds below her wrist. And then I'll just start to lean back and externally rotate the arm. Good. Now my left foot is not doing anything in this moment, but when I send her arm back to her, my left foot is what does that, by pushing into her armpit a little there. And then I lean back, releasing the push of my foot. You can see my arms are straight, I'm not muscling here. And then rocking forward. You can turn the palm down and then turn it up again. Yeah, we could go into the bicep here a little bit.
That's great.
And then I'll do the scapula adjustment. So I'm just lifting her arm up, clearing space for my left hand to come under here and hold her scapula. Then I'll come down. Right hand comes to the top of her shoulder. I'm going to slide my left hand down, pulling the scapula with me as I circle her, the top of her shoulder to the ground. Left hand comes to where the right hand was. I just give a little length to the arm, plant my right hand in hers, and press down, grounding. Yeah, and then just giving a little squeeze along the arm, saying hello to it. Good. Let's see. And then we're just going to come right into the palming along the hand and arm. Yin coming into the body. Yin being the receptive. And circling around here at the deltoid. And then yang, taking the doing out for the moment, bringing being in, or something like that. Right, and you could do a few more passes if you wanted to. I'll flip her hand, come around. In, coming in, starting at the hand, going side to side, rocking, squeezing, getting the back of the arm lines here, and maybe using my left thumb or my right thumb, both coming into the deltoid area a little there, the lateral deltoid. And then yang coming out forward and back. Is that okay? Squeezing a little there, good. Yeah. Let's see, so then we'll go from there up to the neck and head. So seated at the head, you might need some props to help you sit comfortably. If you want to sit up a little bit, you might find it's easier to sit cross-legged. You might find you like to sit legs wide. You might find it's easier to be in a squatting position, maybe with something under your heels. So you'll experiment and explore with that. I'm just going to start by rocking side to side, pressing her shoulders sort of away from her ears a little, letting her head rock as it will. And I'm going to make sure her hair is away from my hand so I'm not pulling it. And I'll start to thumb press from the base of her neck outward to the acromion process along the little fleshy line above the collarbone. And I'm just going side to side with my thumbs, walking out and walking in. Again, you could do yin and yang, yin coming in, yang going out, or whatever sort of feels right in the moment. There are no rules. You can hold at points that feel dense and fibrous and let them breathe into it. And you might hold for several breaths and feel the melting of those knots beneath your touch. And sometimes I'll add, visualize that this place of holding is letting go. And often they will, and it will. They will visualize that, and it will let go. So good. And now I'm just going to give a little traction to the neck, stroking my fingers into the occipital ridge. And so just going to kind of stroke my fingers along the back of the neck. And you could use an oil or a salve there for a stroking, or even sometimes water is enough. And then you can take the circles to the occipital ridge, getting your fingers in pretty close to each other, right at the base of the skull, and circling there. There's usually some nice places.
Feels amazing.
Yeah, feels amazing. And so again, I'm rocking a little forward and back here. I'm in a squatting position at the moment, but I often am sitting like this with knees bent, and again, just circling. And the circling can be in slow motion, and you'll feel where the density is and how much pressure to put there. And again, encourage them to give feedback. This can be a pretty tender area at times for a lot of people, particularly if they have TMJ or, head forward posture from sitting at a computer, a lot of tension here in the neck. This feels pretty good, pretty clear. And so you could spend a good amount of time there. I don't think people really tire of it. And then from there, I'm going to take her neck up into flexion. So bringing the chin toward the chest. And the main thing is to think about lengthening. So my left hand is going to hold the back of her neck and pull her head a little toward me, as my right hand is like this, lifting her head, so that there's no pushing down on the top of her skull, which would compress the cervical spine. Then I start to bring my pincers, like this, around the top of her neck at the base of the skull, the occipital ridge, and just give a little more lift and length. And with a salve, you could then slide here along the back of the neck on each side of the spine. And then switch hands because the grip will be a little different from thumb to finger. Yeah, and sometimes I'll put my feet here on her shoulders. It's as if in shoulder stand, where the shoulders are sitting back around the back of the body and the chin is coming toward the chest. And again, lengthening, lifting the head away from the shoulders a little. How's that, Amy?
Great.
And you can invite them to breathe into the space between their shoulder blades, feeling that space. And when you exhale, feel your head let go into my hands. Yes, beautiful. And then as her head lets go into my hands, I carry her head closer to her chest a little bit. Good. Great. There are more stretches we can do for the neck up. We're just going to do a couple more. There are a few more that you could learn in subsequent trainings. But now we'll just go into the figure 8 neck rolls, which feel really great. Again, holding at the base of the skull, the occipital ridge with my fingers. And I'm just going to start to lean to my left as I carry her head, her left ear toward her left shoulder. And then turn her head as I lean now to my right, carrying first her chin and then her right ear toward her right shoulder. And then turning her head up, bring the chin and then her left ear toward her left shoulder. And I'm lengthening as I go. So I'm tractioning the neck, drawing the head away from the base of the neck. And it's again just rocking side to side. Sometimes my fingers can kind of press into that occipital ridge as I do this. And it's chin first, then ear to shoulder. And nothing to force. Some necks aren't this free, so you wouldn't go nearly as far. And then from there, we can stretch the right side of the neck first, turning it and letting the side of the head rest there. And then giving a little stretch here. Right hand on the right shoulder, left hand at the occipital ridge, drawing the hands away from each other. Giving a stretch there. Good. And again, passive, progressive, kind of taking her a little deeper each time. If you had a salve, you could use your knuckles and just sort of slide along here, or even again, water can work, or a little oil. You can slide along here. You can thumb here into the traps